Salty Homesteader. If this is your first time joining us, thank you so much for being here today. And if you've watched any of the previous videos, or you subscribed or liked or commented previously, thank you for returning. Today, despite the sunny, semi-warm day, I wanted to talk about beating the winter blues when your garden is not like it was during the summer. During the spring and summer into the early part of fall, it's really busy and active, and you get to go out and you play with the soil, and you're harvesting a lot almost every single day or every day, depending on how much food you're growing, especially if you're growing things like okra. And so it's really, really good for your mental health. A lot of people choose to garden for mental health reasons. And then whenever the cooler fall temperatures roll around and then turn into winter, it gets really difficult to continue to be outside and enjoy doing the things that really help your mental health in the spring and the summer months. It's a little bit warm in this greenhouse, so I'm going to push my sleeves up. And I know that especially this year with COVID and everything, it can be really, 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 really difficult to try to just keep that mental and internal balance. I know that for me, gardening especially helps my mental health, but it also just helps my soul feel more at peace. I come out here, and this is where I do the most talking to God. So if it's cold and it's rainy or icy or snowy, depending on where you're at, it's really hard to be able to continue to have that same connection. So what I wanted to do today was talk to you guys and maybe give you a couple of ideas to help you continue to work on your mental health or your the peace of your soul. So if you don't currently garden, but you're wanting to garden, maybe the winter is a good time for you to start, because it will definitely allow you to start small. You know, not as much grows in the winter as it does in the spring and the summer and early fall. So one of the things that you can do if you are either a veteran gardener or you're looking to get into gardening is maybe you can start a small mason jar herb garden in your kitchen. And all you really need, if you can find them, of course, because there's a massive shortage, all you need is mason jars, soil, and herb seeds. I did this, I started one back in May or June, and I actually started out with tons and tons and tons of herbs because I thought it'd be so cool to grow my own tea in the kitchen, but quickly realized that that was not going to be something that was going to work for me. So now I just have the herbs that I use a lot of. So I have basil, which, you know, if you like pizza, you definitely want to try to grow that year round. And then I have a few other things, parsley. My goodness, I think I still have some dandelions growing. We use the greens in fresh salads, and then a couple of other things. But I've shrunk it way down from what I started with. So you can definitely grow herbs in a mason jar. I would suggest only growing one type of herb per jar. It's a quart-sized jar. Fill it up to the, I guess, where the rim begins, and then you just follow the seed planting instructions that are on the seed packet. That's something that you can do. It allows you to play with the soil, it allows you to care for a plant, it allows you to watch a plant grow, and you can do it from the warmth and coziness of your home. If that's not an option, like you live in an apartment or a tiny home, or you just don't really have the space, or you have cats, or you have small children, then there are some things outside of trying to garden indoors that maybe would be good for your mental health and the peace of your soul. I know that my mom and I, we both find an infinite amount of comfort in cozy and soft things. So pretty much almost year round, you can definitely find my mom in sweatpants. Me, I'm more of the yoga pants, leggings type, but I do have some sweatpants as well. I have fuzzy slippers. I have moccasins that are lined with fuzzies. I love hoodies, big, comfy, warm hoodies. I like the pullover hoodies. I also like big, comfy sweaters. So during the cold months, you'll find me in cozy slippers and cozy hoodies, fuzzy blankets, hot cocoa, coffee, warm tea, anything that inspires warmth within you. It can be really helpful for creating the peace within yourself, whether it's your mental peace or the peace of your soul, your spirit, what have you. Another thing that I've been really encouraged by recently is planning for the spring. I know that I'm really fortunate here because my husband helps me build this greenhouse, and I know that that's not in every single person's ability to have. So I'm not going to tell you go out and get a greenhouse and you can grow things year round, because that's not realistic for a lot of people. But what I have found encouragement in is planning for next year. So what does that mean? That means I am looking at the seeds that I have, making a plan. So I'm in the middle of writing down my seed inventory so that I can figure out, okay, this is how many tomatoes, different types of tomatoes that I have. So I'm going to work on visually creating a plan. I'm going to draw it out, sketch it out. You can take your inventory of your seeds, start to visualize where you're going to plant things, how you're going to plant things. If you're going to do companion planting, like are you going to put marigolds with your tomatoes or basil, or how are you going to lay things out? Are you going to grow peppers? Are you focusing on spicy peppers or not spicy peppers? What vegetables are you going to grow to feed your family this year? Are you planning on preserving anything, or do you just want enough to be able to eat fresh? All of those things can really help you plan and look forward to the spring. Now, I know it doesn't make the winter days go by any faster, and in fact, it can be a little bit of a downer because you do have to get through December and January and February and maybe even March, depending on where you're at, before you can even start things. Here in North Texas, I can start a lot of things in January and then quite a few more things in February. So I don't have as long to wait through the treacherous months. But that being said, these short days really do get to you no matter what area you're in. So something else that you can do if you don't really have like the inventory built up yet, like maybe this is your first year gardening, you can go onto different seed purveyor websites and request catalogs from them. A lot of them will provide them for free and they'll mail them to you, and you can just look through and create a list of the things that you would like to grow. You can grow things because you want to try them, or you can grow things because you know your family will eat them, or you can grow things simply because you think that they will bring you joy. I grow things for all three of those reasons. I know that my family is going to eat tomatoes, so I don't think it matters what kind of tomatoes I grow as long as I grow them. But there are some things that I am growing for us to try, like the kohlrabi here. None of us have ever tried it, but I'm growing it so that we can. And then joy. I find joy in pretty flowers. So I have several zinnias, seem to be my favorite. So I'll be planting lots and lots of zinnias. So pick out things from seed distributors that fit those three criteria. You want to try them, or you know that you'll eat them, or you know that they'll bring you joy. If you are limited on space, then pick one type of tomato, one type of pepper, whatever it is that you may feel that you need to grow. You can build up your seed inventory and then make your plan, draw your layout, purchase, if you're like me and a lot of your gardening is going to be in buckets or containers, then you can slowly start purchasing those so that you don't have to spend all of the money all at one time trying to amass all of the containers that you need. A lot of things that I'm going to be growing next year, I'll be growing in 5-gallon buckets. So every time I go to Home Depot or Lowe's or even Walmart, I'll just go grab 3 or 4 buckets and then purchase them at that time. And then I'm only, it's only like $12 at a time rather than 70, 80, 100, how many, whatever it's going to end up being. So you can slowly start purchasing things to prepare for next year's garden as well. One of those things is soil. Soil is probably the biggest expense for somebody with a container garden. There are ways that you can reuse your soil after you've gotten your container garden established, but getting it off the ground is definitely going to be one of the things that it's going to eat a huge chunk of your budget. So purchase the things slowly. Start building your soil now. I have a huge storage tote behind my greenhouse where I just mix all my soil in, and I just store it there until I need it. And so you can do that too, pending space, of course. If you don't really have the space, then maybe you can purchase the smaller bags to create a mix, or maybe a friend of yours does have the space and they are storing soil and you can just pay them to use some of theirs. There's definitely things that you can do. So yeah, all of that is for planning for next year. Something else that you can do during the winter that will sort of help you start to look forward to spring and stuff is work on your compost. I know it sounds so silly, it's just your food scraps and your leaves and things, but rabbit manure, chicken manure, or whatever manure you can get a hold of. But go ahead and work on it. Get things breaking down in their containers or out in the open or however you have it. That way, whenever it comes time to start planting, you're ready to go. You just shovel it into your containers or mix it with your soil and get planting. So definitely one of the biggest things that I have found that has helped me deal with the cold days, even though we haven't had that many yet, is planning for next year. Yesterday was a relatively nice day, so one of the things that I did, and I'll do a little video clip showing you guys, is I cleared out where the bulk of my summer garden was last year, and I got rid of like the plants that got defeated by the frost and smoothed out some decomposed granite so that it looked nice and even so that it'll be ready for next year. I got the go ahead for my husband. I just need to talk to one more person to make a plan for the arch, for the vining things. But definitely, if you have any days where it's not frigidly cold outside, just go out. Even if it's for 5 minutes, go out, sit, breathe the fresh air, talk to God or your God or whatever mystical being you believe in. If you believe, if you don't believe, then just think about the wants and desires of your heart. If you are able to do that for just 5 minutes, it will bring quite a bit of mental clarity to you. And something else that you can do if the frigid temperatures break long enough for you to do this without making yourself sick is you can actually just stand outside barefoot. Just put your feet in the dirt, on the ground, wherever you have, even if it's like dead grass growing, put your feet there and just take a minute to just imagine the earth moving up through you and just, helping center you and bring you a bit of peace. I know it sounds really weird and hokey pokey, but I promise it really does do a lot of good. In the winter, the soil can be a bit cold for digging in with your hands. So if you're able to just manage to just stand out there for a couple of minutes barefoot, it will really, 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 really help. Another thing that might help is if it is a moderately comfortable temperature for you. I know that a lot of northern places it snows and it's really treacherous, and you don't really go outside. But if you're able to, definitely try to take a 5-minute walk around um, your land, or if you're in the suburbs like I am, walk around your neighborhood just for 5 minutes. Be able to take that, breathe in the fresh air. If you're not able to get outside because it is disgustingly cold, pull up like nature videos on YouTube. I think even Netflix might have some. And if you have a treadmill or something, walk on the treadmill while you watch the nature video and kind of imagine yourself outside in that place. Maybe you can crack a window for just a couple of minutes. I understand if you're chronically ill, you probably can't do that. I'm not saying please go make yourself sick. Please do not do that. If you have a chronic illness, then nothing that I say applies to you, because you have your own battles that you're fighting, and I cannot pretend to understand your struggle. But if you are moderately healthy, maybe you can crack a window for just a couple of minutes while you're working at your desk or something, so that you can get just a little bit of fresh air. Something else maybe that you can do that might help beat the winter blues is just dance it out. Put on your favorite Spotify or Pandora playlist and just go nuts.
So here is what I was talking about just a little bit ago, where I was able to come out and actually do some work out here yesterday to prepare for the spring and the summer. Previously, I had a smaller fenced-in portion of the garden that was up on cinder blocks and retaining wall blocks, and it was about right here. So I moved all of those out and took them over there to the back, kind of behind and next to the greenhouse, and smoothed the decomposed granite out. I removed all of the yucky plants that had been gotten by the frost. So I definitely recommend, if you are able, of course, just stepping outside to do whatever preparation you can do for next year, because it does help you be able to look forward to something. And I'll show you where I moved the cinder blocks too. I'm not really sure where the other video cut off because it doesn't give me an alert. This camera is a little bit old. So I was saying that one of the things that we like to do, especially with the kids, is just dance out the zoomies. It really helps our mental health. Of course, it helps us get a bit of exercise and all of that. So we'll just play our favorite playlist that we're in the mood for and just dance it out. Okay, so these were some of the retaining wall blocks that I moved. I may end up moving them again because I think I'm going to turn this into like a watermelon and cantaloupe pit. I haven't decided yet. And then the other cinder blocks, the other cinder blocks I stacked up right here, and obviously I can use these to create some sort of pit planting space as well, if that's not going to be big enough for the watermelon and cantaloupe. Maybe I'll just have one watermelon and one cantaloupe. I'm not sure yet. Like I said, I haven't finished doing my inventory, so I'm not really too sure how I'm going to put everything. But definitely, if you are able to get outside, even if it's just for 2, 3, 5 minutes, I implore you to do that for your soul, for your mental health, for your happiness. If you're not able to get outside because you're in like North Dakota or Wisconsin or something where it is colder than I can possibly imagine, because I live in Texas and I just can't imagine it ever being super cold. But if you are in a place where going outside in the winter months for even 2 or 3 minutes at a time is going to cause you extreme misery, don't do that. Get lost in some books. You can read about gardening, of course. Research the things that you want to grow. My husband got me a book on growing tomatoes for Christmas. I wasn't supposed to know that he got it, but I accidentally opened the box looking for something else. Thank you, Amazon. So I will be reading that on like a cold and nasty day so that I can have the best tomatoes ever next year. And if you don't want to read about gardening, that's fine. Read fantasy, science fiction, read romance, whatever it is that, you know, sparks joy within your heart. Definitely reading books has helped mental health for me anyway. I think it helps my sons as well. So if reading is something that brings you joy, then definitely do that. My husband is a musician, so maybe tinkering around with some sort of instrument, even if you don't know how to play it, maybe you can, you know, figure out some basic stuff from YouTube and learn how to, or attempt to learn how to play guitar or piano or drums or banjo or saxophone, or you know, if you like writing, then write poetry about how miserable you are with this crappy cold weather. Well, not this crappy cold weather because it's beautiful today, but your crappy cold weather. Write a song, write a story, write a short story about a gardener who is stuck in the snow and can't, you know, I don't know, go all Stephen King with it if you want to. I think the key is definitely figuring out a way to just survive until you're able to make it back outside again. I know that this year, with it being COVID, a lot of people were faced very bluntly with the fact that they needed an escape. People needed some form of escape. They weren't able to go shopping, they weren't able to go to the movies, they weren't able to go to concerts, they weren't able to go out to eat. All of the things that they really loved to do and really just brought them joy, they had to find ways to create new joy. And if you're in that situation where it's COVID and it's winter and you're stuck at home, I implore you to just try new hobbies. I don't know, take up crocheting. I'm in the middle of a blanket that I'll never finish because I don't like to sit still long enough. But take up crocheting, teach yourself an instrument, learn how to make sourdough bread. You know, a lot of things that people started at the beginning of COVID thinking that it would be good to pass the time with, they might be able to revisit in the winter time with COVID still here, because you're definitely going to be stuck in your house more now than at the beginning where it was starting to become spring and you could at least go take a walk. I think somebody's blowing leaves in the front, so I'm so sorry for the noise. I can't, the gate's not open, so I can't see. Just let me know in the comments what types of things you guys like to do to beat the winter blues where you're at. Obviously, in North Texas, my winter looks much, much different than somebody in Maine or even California, or even in South Texas where I have friends who they have 70-degree Christmases every year. Just let me know the things that you like to do to beat the winter blues. If I'm looking for something because all of the things that I have suggested just aren't quite working, then maybe I can lean on one of your suggestions and learn something new about myself. But yeah, that's really all I had for today. I just wanted to talk to you guys about figuring out how to find joy in the middle of late fall, early winter with the Rona around, whenever you're not able to go out and play in the soil as much as you could in the spring and summer. If you guys liked today's video or any other videos that you've seen, feel free to subscribe and hit the notification bell. That way you won't miss any uploads. I'm going to try to start uploading on Tuesdays and Thursdays every week. I think 2 videos a week is a good target for me. So Tuesdays and Thursdays, look out for new content from me. Thank you guys so much for watching today. Until next time, bye. All this talking makes my mouth tired. Okay,